Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. So this past week has been absolutely crazy, insane stuff going on in northern Israel on Israel's border with Lebanon. There's been a lot of action happening with Hezbollah. There have been multiple barrages of rockets fired at Israel, 200 rockets at a time. Stuff like that, just crazy projectiles, missiles, rockets coming in from Hezbollah onto northern Israel. On Tuesday, Hezbollah once again released footage of drone reconnaissance on Israeli military bases. Now, they did this last month, where they took their drone and they took different footage of Israeli military bases, intelligence sites, stuff like that. But they did that again. They called the drone they used, they called this the Hudhud, which apparently is the Arabic name for Israel's national bird, the hoopoe. Basically, what Hezbollah is doing is they're spying on Israel, and then they're releasing this footage online publicly, releasing it in order to spread fear in the Israeli public. Hezbollah wrote this on Telegram. They said, quote, "The new footage includes aerial reconnaissance of intelligence bases, leadership headquarters, and camps in the occupied Syrian Golan." Occupied Syrian Golan. Right. Yeah. Sure. Later in the day, on Tuesday, Israel allegedly, they did an airstrike outside of Damascus. And now I say allegedly because Israel hasn't officially confirmed it, but, most likely 99% sure that this was Israel. They did an airstrike outside of Damascus that took out a top Hezbollah operative. This guy was name is Yasser Nimir Karnabsh. I'm sure I did not say his name right at all, but I really do not care because he was a terrorist. So Al-Akhbar, basically, which is basically a Hezbollah newspaper, they said that this guy Karnabsh, whatever his name is, he was killed after the Israel Defense Forces targeted his car near a checkpoint on the Damascus-Beirut highway. He was part of an elite Hezbollah unit responsible for transferring terrorists and weaponry from Syria to Lebanon. Now get this. This guy used to be an actual bodyguard for Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Back in the day, he was a bodyguard and aide to Hassan Nasrallah, the top commander, top leader of Hezbollah. And I guess later on, he moved into working more in Syria, as I said, transferring weapons and terrorists and stuff from Syria to Lebanon. So Israel took this guy out. Their reach is very far. If Hezbollah attacks more Israel will respond with strength, and they know what to do. Their reach is very far, and they will take out the terrorists and do the strikes that they need to do. After this Israeli airstrike, and this is what Hezbollah claim, and Hezbollah is claiming that it was in response to this assassination, they fired a barrage of 40 rockets at northern Israel at the Golan Heights there in northern Israel. One Israeli car was hit. Actually, it was a direct impact, a direct hit, burst into flames, and it unfortunately killed both people inside of the vehicle, husband and wife, Noah and Nir Barnes. They were from Kibbutz Ortal, parents of 3 children on their way home to their to Kibbutz Ortal, and their car was hit. Pray for their family that they will have comfort in this time. According to JNS, following the rocket attack, the Golan Regional Council announced that Route 91 was closed in both directions from the Nafa Junction to the Hashiron Junction due to falls in the area. The council also advised residents to stay near bomb shelters and avoid public gatherings until further notice per the Army's instruction. This rocket barrage from Hezbollah, the latest of all the massive rocket barrages, it caused 8 pretty large fires in northern Israel. There have been multiple fires from different rocket barrages. From this specific one, it caused at least 8 fires, is what I've seen in reports. Of course, Israel could not let this go. They responded with strength to this rocket attack from Hezbollah, they struck Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure in the area of Kabrika, which was the area that the rockets, that the projectiles were actually launched from. They also struck other military structures. With all of this craziness happening in Israel's north in the Golan Heights, it's more important than ever that Israel's medical emergency system, Magen David Adom, has everything they need. Magen David Adom responds to every single terror attack inside of Israel. They dispatch every single ambulance. They receive thousands of emergency calls every single day. Since October 7th, 36 of their medical professionals have been unfortunately killed by terrorists, and 17 ambulances were either destroyed or disabled by terrorists. They've saved thousands of lives during the war, but they need your help to do that. What you might not know is that Magen David Adom is almost entirely funded by insurance reimbursements and by donors. Also, 90% of their 35,000 EMTs, paramedics, and first responders are actually volunteers. Guys, every single dollar you donate matters. Let's put our money where our mouth is, and let's give to Magen David Adom to literally save lives inside of Israel. You can just click the link in the description below to donate to Magen David Adom today. Breaking news: Joe Biden's disastrous floating humanitarian pier, dock, whatever you want to call it, in Gaza is finally being permanently dismantled. This was a really terrible idea from Joe Biden. He first announced the idea of the pier, of this floating dock to get more supplies into Gaza. He announced this during his State of the Union, which was made back in March. He announced this idea. Overall, they've spent $230 million building this pier, and so far it has only been used for several weeks. Their idea was to get more humanitarian aid into Gaza via a Mediterranean Sea route by Cyprus. So they were trying to get more aid into Gaza. It was finally installed in May. After months of building, it was up for about a week, but then it was damaged by high winds and heavy seas. 4 support boats broke off from the structure and became beached, and a portion of the causeway was damaged and broke off. There are reports Hamas, opening fire on people working on the pier, of stealing aid going into Gaza from the pier. Overall, it's just been a pretty bad disaster. So it was up for a week, damaged by high winds. Several support boats broke off, as I said, but then it was back up and running by June 7th. Again, it was removed due to bad weather on June 14th, put up several days later again, but then again removed on June 28th because of heavy seas once again. Actually, apparently in late June, there was a report that certain small parts of the pier actually washed up on a Tel Aviv beach. JNS said that it will be reinstalled. The pier will be reinstalled on Wednesday for several days to clear out the remaining aid that is piled up in Cyprus and get it onto the Gaza beach before the project is dismantled permanently. So overall, just pretty bad disaster, pretty bad idea. Another one of Joe Biden's disastrous ideas with foreign policy that just did not turn out at all according to plan. I think David Friedman, the former U.S. ambassador to Israel, he summed it up pretty well. He said this pier was a massive waste of money that had no value other than virtue signaling to Biden's base. Absolute disaster. Thankfully, it's being permanently dismantled now. Guys, in conclusion, let's continue to pray for Israel. And intense stuff going on up in the north, craziness happening, rockets flying in every single day. Don't forget to check out Magen David Adom. Give to support Israel's emergency medical personnel, especially with all of the craziness that is happening here in the land of Israel. As always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda. Connect with the truth of what is happening here in Israel. Now we'll do the ad for the show. Facing Jerusalem, God's plan for global redemption was written as a message of hope for today's generation. When the first temple was dedicated several thousand years ago, God told King Solomon that he would hear and answer the prayer of any person that prayed toward his holy mountain in Jerusalem. In a world that is filled with confusion, anti-God rhetoric, and wokeism, God still has a plan for his people. For those who believe in the Bible, God is enacting a redemptive plan, and it is centered in Jerusalem. We must fix our gaze both physically and spiritually on Jerusalem and Israel to experience the blessing and power of God in our daily faith walk. Facing Jerusalem is a refreshing, easy-to-read guide to understanding Jerusalem's role for Christians. Banking on our nearly 20 years of serving here in Israel and filled with our personal stories of working in the Holy Land, this book is sure to inspire, challenge, and fill you with fresh zeal in your walk with God. Order Facing Jerusalem today at an exclusive special discount. Use promo code Jerusalem to receive 10% off of your order. We're so passionate about this message that we're not worried about making money from book sales. We simply want to inspire you to look toward and face Jerusalem in your Christian walk. By doing so, we firmly believe that you will experience blessing, passion, and the power of God in your life. Purchase our book at facingjerusalemthebook.com or just click the link in the description below. Enter the promo code Jerusalem for 10% off. It's time to experience revival in the Christian faith, and we believe that a key ingredient to that is spiritually and physically facing Jerusalem. Go to facingjerusalemthebook.com or just click the link in the description below to get your copy today.